short stance is, I believe the government has every right to deport him, notwithstanding the fact that he's a green card holder and married to an American, which is really kind of an irrelevance legally. But the green card is not an irrelevance. And he's deportable under several different statutes. He's done a number of things that can get him deported. I think some of his speech is grounds enough, but he's actually behaved in a way that could get him deported. You can get deported for a lot of things, even when you're a green card holder. It's a privilege. It's not a right. And Trump had every right to say, you're out of here. And I know you disagree, and you think it's a First Amendment case, which I don't think. So explain why you think that.
Oh, my God.
You know, you guys have whatever takeaway you have, and lesson can be learned from his situation. All right, so we have two more videos. This first one I want to play. It's a Megyn Kelly video, and it's just highlighting what's going on with Mahmoud Khalil. I'm not as familiar with this situation with Mahmoud Khalil. This is the student, I think the grad student that was going to get deported, was detained. He was going to have his case, I think the conservatives wanted it in Louisiana. He wanted it in New York. Now it's going to be held in Jersey. But here's a little bit of back and forth on it. And this is going to bring us into our final convo where we're discussing war. But I don't know. I don't know. Like I've been all over the place on my thoughts on this because I'm just hearing a lot of different things from different sides to support their arguments. So let's take a look at this back and forth between Megyn Kelly and I forget this gentleman's name, Glenn Greenwald. And let's just try to get an opinion on it.
I think knows my stance on this because I did a weekend podcast. If not, the short stance is, I believe the government has every right to deport him, notwithstanding the fact that he's a green card holder and married to an American, which is really kind of an irrelevance legally. But the green card is not an irrelevance. And he's deportable under several different statutes. He's done a number of things that can get him deported. I think some of his speech is grounds enough, but he's actually behaved in a way that could get him deported. You can get deported for a lot of things, even when you're a green card holder. It's a privilege. It's not a right. And Trump had every right to say, you're out of here. And I know you disagree, and you think it's a First Amendment case, which I don't think. So explain why you think that and why you defend him in general.
Sure. I mean, first of all, you know, I've been defending free speech as probably my most important value, not just as a journalist, but as a lawyer for 30 years. I remember being inspired by what the ACLU did in Skokie, Illinois, where they defended the right of American Nazi Party members to march through Skokie, which was a town of Holocaust survivors wearing Nazi uniforms, even though the lawyers who did that were Jewish lawyers and they had Jewish donors. It was a very overwhelmingly Jewish group, and they still defended the right of free speech of the people who are Nazis, who only 30 years before had tried to exterminate Jews from the earth, because I think the principle is so important. And I've seen many times people say they believe in the principle when it comes to their own allies, and then suddenly start finding ways to justify censorship by saying it's incitement or it's something else when it comes to the views they most disagree with. And I think that's what is important to recognize here is the Trump campaign, the Trump administration made very clear that they intend to go after and punish in a lot of ways people who are protesting the Israeli war in Gaza or Israel itself, because the Trump administration are strong supporters of Israel. So we have to recognize the people they're going after have views that the Trump administration vehemently disagrees with. In the case of Mahmoud Khalil specifically, I've heard a lot of accusations about him, that he is a supporter of Hamas, that he engaged in intimidation of violence. There's no evidence of that. It is true that some of the protesters at Columbia engaged in bad acts, but you can't impute those to Mahmoud Khalil. And there was, I don't know if you saw, there was Wall Street Journal reporting yesterday about who Khalil is. And a lot of the Jewish students at Columbia who are part of these encampments, part of these protests, and they did have a ton of American Jewish students as part of them, I've interviewed them, all stood up for Khalil and said, the reason he was the mediator between our group and the administration is because he's trusted by all sides. He has defended Jewish students before. If he hears an anti-Semitic claim, he'll denounce it. He's actually been at the Shabbat dinners that they were holding. I'd like to know specifically on the record what he has done that makes this claim that he's a Hamas supporter or incited harassment and violence against Jewish students justifiable, because I've looked very carefully and I don't see anything. He went on CNN and said his
he worked for
vision of the
UNRWA,
world,
which is basically
Jewish...
a branch of Hamas. That's one thing.
Nah, basically that doesn't work for me. That's like the whole pre-diabetic argument. Like, well, you're basically pre-diabetic. No, you're not pre-diabetic. So, and I agree with Glenn on this one, where I just need to see some evidence. I just need to see some evidence for me. Now the government, they can do whatever they want, but I do believe that this can lead to a slippery slope. This can lead to a slippery slope, and especially depending on your background, depending on your demographic, and your history, your group's history, especially when it comes to your race and ethnicity, you may look at this in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of Black nationalists that were seen as terrorists that, in my opinion, I wouldn't say that they're terrorists. And a lot of these people have been considered or have been made political prisoners just for standing up against the country and using different ways to stand up for Black people's rights. And they were made to be political prisoners unfairly, in my opinion. So I don't know about Mahmoud Khalil's situation. I've heard people say that he was attached to an organization that said that they wanted to destroy Western civilization. I just looked at an article where they're saying something that one of the groups at Columbia put up. Just show me the evidence. If you're saying that you want to destroy Western civilization, if you're saying that he said that, then that should be very easy to show us. Just show us it. Because if not, then I just think that it sets a bad precedent and a slippery slope for us to just be deporting people based on them not even disagreeing with America, but just disagreeing with and opposing what Israel's doing. I just think that that's kind of crazy. And that goes to maybe have the conversation that maybe we'll get into a little bit later when we talk about the wars. Y'all know what it is. It's Dak from the OG Network. Man, I just want to thank y'all. That's right, to thank y'all for all of your tremendous support over the years, whether you've been rocking with us from the beginning or maybe this is the first show that you're checking out on the network. We want to thank you nonetheless. And we have an ask, all right? We have a goal of reaching 20,000 subscribers by the end of March. That's right, 20K by the end of March. It's not a real goal unless you put a date on it. And with that, we need your help. So we ask that if you are enjoying the content that you like, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're feeling real generous, maybe share with some friends and family. All right, I'll let y'all go. And once again, thank you for your continued support. And we look forward to growing with y'all. See y'all soon. Ew. But I mean, clearly, when we look at our politics, and this is what maybe a lot of people don't realize when it comes to our politics, is that Israel does have a very strong hand in our politics. It just is what it is. Like, we got to be able to call this stuff out. Israel is the only nation outside of America that has the ability, correct me if I'm wrong, to lobby in our politics. Like, if you're not familiar with what lobbying is, a lot of times it's an exchange of money to influence politicians to push certain agendas. So when you look at, and Glenn Greenwald pointed out that Donald Trump has huge support from Israel, I believe that Israel is behind. I mean, Israel has supported a lot of the Democratic politicians as well. And I don't say that to say, well, Trump did it. Yeah, but they did it. I'm not saying that to say that. What I'm saying that to say that is Israel has a very strong influence on our government. It just is what it is. And when you get rid of somebody, try to deport them just because they have opposing views or are calling out something that's going on in Israel, between Israel and Palestine, I just think that that could set a bad precedent. And I believe that it's a slippery slope. Especially when you're the party that's pushing free speech. Now, I know that free speech has limits, but based on what I've heard, now, let me be very clear. I'm talking about based on what I've seen and heard. I don't know why he's getting deported or they're trying to deport him. I don't know why he was detained, but I may not have all the information. If there's information out here that says that he's been behind trying to destroy Western civilization, America, then yeah, you shouldn't be here. So you should be going through the process of whatever that process is, of if they want to deport you based on you being against the country and you being you trying to weaponize people to go against it, to cause terror, whatever it is, then just show us that. But when you just try to deport somebody based on them not agreeing with your stance on certain things, then I don't know about that. But I'm not saying that it's one way or another. I'm just saying I haven't seen anything. Maybe y'all have. And let's not act like we ain't just see those numbers drop as soon as I mentioned that.
Megan, the UNRWA was funded by the U.S. government for decades under both political parties. It's a part of the UN, and
but
I don't.
More recently,
I don't
it's been
agree
very
with that.
aligned with Hamas. You can't deny that.
I mean, if you're going to say that people who go work for the UN are now suspect of being terrorists or whatever, you know how many
UNRWA,
employees
yes.
of the
This is so if a group aligns with, like, what does align mean? Let's say if there's a terrorist group that says that their people should not be getting bombed. I'm just giving an example. And it could be on any side. If there's a terrorist group that says, hey, I'm saying even if it is a terrorist group, and they are saying that they shouldn't have their kids getting killed or whatever they're saying, and another group says that they don't believe in kids being killed in this region, then they may align on that, but that doesn't mean that like now you're going to say that they align as if to say anything that other group, that terrorist group says, and that now we're aligned on everything. So I don't know. And once again, just present it. Just present it. Like, show me what it is. Tell me what it is. For me, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that most people would understand if you show them, hey, these are the reasons why this person is a threat to America, is a threat to our democracy. Show it to us. Show it to us. And I now that I'm thinking about it, probably most people wouldn't just look at it objectively, but at least you'd have the information out there.
Of the UN are, and of UNRWA.
Even Joe Biden cut ties with UNRWA because it was working with Hamas post 10/7. Even the Democrats did that. This is not a partisan position.
Well, Israel is not a partisan position. Joe Biden fed Israel the arms and the money.
Okay, let's
that they use to wage the war in Gaza. Joe Biden has long been one of the most stalwart supporters of Israel in all of Washington. Netanyahu has often said that.
I agree with that.
I want to move the conversation to this other video that I have, and I think even when we have a lot of these conversations, and I hadn't seen this back and forth between Megyn Kelly and Glenn Greenwald, but it's just that it's a back and forth. It's Dak. Just want to thank you for checking out our video and visiting the OG Network. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure that you give us a like. And if you're looking to join a community of inspired individuals striving for purposeful abundance, subscribe. And if you're feeling real generous, share the video with some friends and family. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Ew.